customer success at some point, because you have to talk to customers, you're coordinating with the sales team or listening to sales calls, right? You're recording those sales calls, and you're eventually getting a lot of information from there, right? And you're working with directly from demand gen perspective, brand.
Customers coming to you, you have done enough marketing, customers are coming to you. Now you can also understand if I'm targeting the right segment or if I can increase my revenue.
Again, as a marketer, for me, I also say the same thing, right? Before you build a product, go talk to customers, go talk to prospects, and figure out if they have the problem.
You need to talk to customers, which is interview the prospects and people who are using competing products. That is the first thing which a lot of people skip.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Unwrapping Marketing One Piece at a Time. Today we have Pulkit, founder Flip Funnel, product marketing agency for tech companies. Pulkit, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell us more about your background, your journey, how you started Flip Funnel. Over to you.
Right. Hi, I'm Pulkit Narang. I'm the founder of Flip Funnel. Flip Funnel is a product marketing agency focused on early stage SaaS startups. Before I delve into how I started Flip Funnel, I think it's essential to look at how I became a marketer, which again dates back to almost 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was back in college and I used to do a lot of gaming. And accidentally, I met somebody online who taught me how to design logos. And this guy was from Chennai. So we never met other than just playing games online. So he just taught me how to build a website and how to design a logo. And that's how I got intrigued and got into the design world. While designing logos, started a design startup called getyourlogo.in. For that time, when there were just a couple of startups like Freecharge, Snapdeal, we started getting inbound requests with respect to graphic design.
Finally, something came good out of playing a video game.
Again, that has a story of its own as to how I got into games, which is thanks to my dad. He was a stockbroker. So growing up back in '97, we got our first computer when the dematerialization of shares happened. So I've seen the whole life cycle of hardware and software tools. I've seen how internet used to come in CDs, in SIFI and Satyam packages, and we used to install that. So I was always intrigued with respect to technology. So starting from MS-DOS games to Windows to Apple and Mac today, it was a whole life cycle. So I was always somebody who was interested in technology. And then that transitioned into design. I was artsy. And then I met somebody online. He triggered that spark in me. I carried along. That graphic design agency developed into a marketing agency where people started asking for marketing help as well. At that point in time, Facebook pages was picking up. So we started doing Facebook marketing. We started doing other things for these clients. And one of the clients was on a freelancer website where I got paid $6. So I was like, wow, you can also earn in dollars. So it all opened a whole field of marketing and design for me back then. And that's how I started with design and got my first job at Deloitte. And it was a brand marketing and design job. As at the very nascent stage, I was just clearing PPTs, which is I was just making sure that the PPTs which the consultants and executives or partners were creating, they are brand compliant. So that's where I started, and I think I was so curious and hungry for growth that within Deloitte, I got the opportunity to again transition to brand marketing, and in the next 3 years, I was able to also launch a brand revamp for Deloitte India, which the global had activated across. So we were adopting the brand revamp, and I was responsible to lead the program with my director. So that was like how the whole design, a guy who started in design, had a business economics degree, went on to the marketing world. And then from there, after enterprise, I entered a mid market firm where I was doing retention marketing for a fintech company based out of Chennai. Then I got into a travel tech company called Pick Your Trail, where I started again in retention and CRM, and then I transitioned to product marketing, partnerships, and then every googly that came through, I was like, I'm up for it. And that's what startups do to you, right? So from enterprise to mid market to startups, that journey began. And until the pandemic hit, this was where we were. And post pandemic, this got more accelerated thanks to the digital ecosystem that set in. From there, I got into SaaS, work with a couple of SaaS solutions versus product companies, work with a health tech, really famous health tech company briefly, where I was doing both B2B and B2C, and then got an opportunity to work with a no code tool platform called Landbot, where I was the first product marketer again, so leading product marketing there, setting the foundations. After working there for almost 18 months, I saw clear gaps in the market with respect to every early stage startup needing product marketing but not having the capability to bring in a product marketer, because product marketers are essentially cross-disciplined marketers who have gotten their hands dirty into different parts of content, marketing, brand, design, data. So they are expensive as talent. So it's essentially difficult for a company to bring them early on. And we thought that there was a need of a product marketing agency.
Hmm.
And I came down to that conclusion not based on just this thesis, but I also understood that building products was getting relatively easier. There was less friction to building products. So if building was getting easier, marketing got really difficult. Differentiating yourself in a sea of sameness became difficult. Products were just becoming product features and nothing more. So value prop translation for highly technical products was getting difficult. So multiple theses and points that came along, and we got down to being just a B2B marketing agency to saying we are a product marketing agency. We'll focus on translating complex B2B products into better value props and give you an edge over your competitors. That's how we started.
Got it. And like, when did you start this? Approximately to 2020 or
No, this I started way. I quit my job around 2022 of November. So I would say 23 is where we focused on the positioning of being a product marketing agency.
got it? Okay. You talked about a lot about why product marketing, right? And in my previous sessions, also my previous podcast, we talked about a lot of product marketing stuff, right? So I'm not going to get into a lot of technical details of product marketing, but I still want you to kind of tell us, like, again, why product marketing, and what is the problem with uh, especially product marketing in India, because I've seen US adopt a different strategy when it comes to product marketing. They give a lot of importance also. So what is, you also mentioned that it's also difficult to hire because of the cost, right? Um, because the product marketers are pretty expensive, right? But according to you, what are the challenges that the companies are facing right now, especially B2B SaaS, when it comes to product marketing? Is it only the cost, or is it like they're not able to get the basic stuff right? Like, is it, when I say basic, like they're not able to explain what they do, the positioning, not able to get the positioning right? What is that problem that you think which is prevailing right now?
I think the problem is twofold, and it's from both the sides. It's from the talent side also and the org side also. Most of the time, the organization is not clear as to what is the role of a product marketer and how do they wish to utilize it to their advantage. That is one problem, right? There were a couple of organizations when I started product marketing, I was just doing retention marketing. I was just responsible for marketing automation, which is, I would say, not a core part of a product marketer's job. So next, on the other side, I do see there's a skill gap, right?
Hmm.
Now, skill gap in terms of understanding, as you said, in US, product marketing is essentially different from how it is in India. And that is so because US is a mature software market. Now, in a mature market, uh, differentiation and brand becomes essential, right? And when differentiation and brand becomes essential, it means that you need to translate your market even better with respect to your technical features. Okay. So there's a need in a mature software market where your buyer is also a little mature and understanding and wants to know more about the technology with which you have built a certain product. We'll get deeper and into technical features, how you've built it, how they'll utilize it, how they'll adopt it, and hence they need to be educated to a greater depth. In India, that need is now coming to fruition. Now we are seeing that buyers are getting a lot more mature. Their buying committees are a lot more bigger. They need a lot more buy-ins and understanding of why we are spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on a particular uh, tech stack, right? So, so it is twofold. One was skill gap in terms of being able to do the job of understanding product and then connecting it to marketing and then connecting it to sales or even customer marketing,
Hmm.
right? That skill gap is something that not everybody is able to, I would say, top up to, and hence it requires you having been in the industry for a while. So there was a recent report that McKinsey released on product marketing, and it says that a typical successful product marketer needs 11 years of experience uh, in different cross disciplines when they looked at different product marketing companies who were using product marketing managers and what was the average experience there. So that's the skill gap, that's the experience gap that the industry is witnessing. On the other hand, organizations also are right now figuring out how do we utilize somebody and not call them in for demand generation, because typically the understanding is if a marketing person is joining, they are responsible just for demand generation or lead generation, right? So how do we use somebody for market research, competitively understanding what is happening in our industry? How can we build a better roadmap? How can our PMs take help of a product marketing manager and understand these are the use cases that we should be first building for, or these are the gaps with respect to certain products in the market which others are not building for, we should build for, right? So that mindset shift is now coming through. So it's a two-way problem.
Correct. So when I talk about, I just want to take a step back. When you said, average experience that is needed for product marketers is 11 years, right? Uh, when I look at it, let's talk about what skill sets, right? So 11 years, and I mean, completely in sync, right? So, for example, you talked about research. Uh, there's a skill that you need content. There's a skill that you need, think futuristically. Again, comes down to how good you're in terms of research, how good you're in terms of following competition, like what use cases to build for. Uh, you have to build collateral, sales decks. You have to think about your website, copy, messaging, landing pages. Basically, lots, right? So, which means it's not a single skill; it's a combination of multiple skills. Talk about
Right.
demand gen on the other side, where if you want to do content or SEO or performance, you only take care of one particular channel, and you have to get
Yeah.
better at that particular channel, bring in like
Right.
revenue pipeline. But product marketing for me is like combination of multiple things. Again, you also are collaborating with every team in the business, right?
Obvious.
Which is also you need people skill there. You're talking to product marketing, you're talking to engineers, you're talking to I don't know customer success at some point because you have to talk to customers. You're coordinating with the sales team or listening to sales calls, right? You're recording those sales calls, and you're eventually getting a lot of information from there, right? And you're working with like directly from demand gen perspective, brand. So basically, like you are thinking like everybody, right? And everybody you have to work with everybody, and you have to think like everybody, right? Now,
Right.
now when the companies expect to hire a junior resource, how do you think they can do justification, even if the money is a lot more, like you're paying above the industry standards, right? What is your suggestion? Of course, you started this because of because of this you started an agency, but otherwise, like for an early stage company who wants to do product marketing, do you think the only way for them to go is to hire a good agency, or like do you have any other solution for that?
I think again depends on the goals. How fast you want to launch. What are you launching? What stage are you in with respect to your product? Are you still ideating? Are you still gathering or building a thesis or hypothesis of which industry do you want to launch in? What customers do you want to target? Right. So um, an agency is not the only go-to here. You could also start with experts uh, in these verticals, which product marketing is made of. So if I'm researching, I could just make sure that if I'm launching in, let's say, the sales tech industry and then or category, then I bring in somebody who's really good at research and has some expertise in the sales tech or sales operations domain to help me research. So what you can start doing is you can start bringing in different experts who can help you there, right? So is a product marketer a generalist? Yes. Can you also bring down the cost by doing this? You can, but obviously the success there might require a lot more execution and ops on your end. Ownership would be spread across multiple people. Then you have to bring multiple people to do that job, right? So it's a cost benefit payoff here, which you look at and then you take a decision. But the other way around is bringing different experts in market research, in demand generation, in competitive intelligence, in again visually a product marketer is able to again translate your features into good graphics, right, or a value prop. So then you bring in somebody who could be from a product design discipline but also understands marketing, right? So that is a way in which you can do a patchwork with different experts, and it's possible.
Got it. When you Let's talk about different stages, right? So you also mentioned that it also depends on the stages that the company is in, right? So at what stage, a very early stage, right? Like maybe less than 100K or 200K in revenue, right? Can you explain a little bit in terms of what they would need basically at what stage? How can product marketing help on these stages? Like it would be based on the revenue, it could be based on the funding round, like a early stage seed or whatever, like growth, right? What is that? Like what kind of a product marketing is needed for all of these companies, and how do you help them at what stage, and
Right,
what is your experience of working based on your past experience of working with these kind of companies? Like what is the
right,
problem that these companies face at what level, and how do you help them?
right. So today you need a product marketer at every stage, and the stage begins at an idea stage itself, which is you have an idea of building a better Canva. Let's say you say that I would want to build a graphic design tool wherein you don't need a designer anymore, and I will bring in certain AI workflows and automations to creative design. So you're building a creative operations tool, uh, which also is Canva, but more with respect to automation. So the first moment that you have this idea, you want to validate whether it makes sense to enter this industry or not,
Hmm.
right? Whether you want to build in this category, or whether it would make, are there enough gaps, or the idea that you have, how do you validate if a lot of users experience this pain for which you are building? Um, so that is where market research again comes into the picture, where you are responsible for understanding what are the trends in the industry with respect to building this particular tool. Uh, how do you go about interviewing prospects or customers of existing tools? That is another part of market research.
Got it.
How do you, so market research at the idea stage itself. And it is a continual part, whether you're in an idea stage, you're at product design stage, you are in a build stage, now you're building, and you continuously want to gather feedback with respect to a beta that you're launching with respect to the product. Then again, you want to go and float it or do a small beta launch. That is where again a product marketer would come into the picture. Next, you want to turn that beta into an alpha and you want to do a proper launch. Then you need a go to market launch strategy. So this is this is a typical life cycle, and in every stage there is some bit of market research. There is some bit of uh, understanding what are the jobs to be done and customer discovery to be done with respect to your audience. Then, with respect to once you are past the alpha or the beta stage, you want to come down to the model, which is what should be the pricing model that I should be putting in place so that I have a competitive advantage. Or if my market is underserved, which is there are not a lot of products, should I be keeping a competitive pricing or I can ask for a premium, right? So then you start analyzing competitive intel and competitors with respect to pricing models, right? How do you package and price the product?
Hmm.
At the same time, as you start maturing, you have enough inbound product marketing in place wherein you have customers coming to you. You have done enough marketing, customers are coming to you. Now you can also understand if I'm targeting the right segment or if I can increase my revenue if I start packaging my product for more upmarket segment, which is right now I'm offering to SMB. Can I go mid market?
Hmm.
Right. So there's a different level of research that might be required. Again, you might want to get into customer discovery. Again, you might want to work with the PM to understand if you need to build additional features. So it's a life cycle as you go from idea to product design to building a product to launching a beta to going alpha, then a whole launch and then going up market. This whole life cycle at different stages, different parts of product marketing would come into play.
Yeah, you're saying it never stops. Like you basically start from before the product, before you even have an idea of a product. Again, as a marketer, for me, I also say the same thing, right? Before you build a product, go talk to customers, go talk to prospects, and figure out if they have the
Right.
problem. Then build it. If they have the problem, if 10 people are saying it, there's a problem, and they'll pay for it. Then you build a product. So which means now product marketing is just before the product itself, right? And that's the
It's a
fundamentals of
continual exercise.
yeah, that's the fundamentals of market research. When I did my MBA, so I couldn't understand why people asked me to do some surveys and stuff, right? It was always that in an MBA, if you have to finish the final semester, you have to do a survey. They'll give you like a grade, and then they'll ask you to ask somebody to fill a survey, and then you take all that surveys and then do some kind of an analysis, right? Now, I wouldn't understand like why people are asking you to do surveys, right? And then you have to take that and then give it to companies, right? Because nobody taught you why you have to do the survey. What is it for the companies? Like and these questions are also found by us, right? And then these are some basic fundamental questions. When I look at it now, uh, the the feedback that you get from people, prospects, customers, right? And that forms the base of how you will grow, what you will do, what is your product, how is it solving, right? People pay for it. Right? Can I add more features? So that is the
Right.
core and essentials of, for me, like how you start uh, your initial product market itself, right? Like which is uh, you're absolutely right on that. So let's talk about what are the basic like a common mistakes that people make in their GTM strategies, like, and how do you think they can avoid that? Very basic mistakes like you've seen based on your experience. For me, if I give you an example, uh, for me, if I do demand gen consulting, okay, the common mistake that I've seen is people spend a lot of money on ads without even realizing what kind of a ROAS it's giving, right? They just basically want to scale it
Right.
without thinking the fundamentals of how they want to scale it. So when I audit, the first thing that I do is to tell them to stop. That's one. The number two is when they do SEO, also the same problem that they measure vanity, which is like, hey, I'm getting X amount of traffic. right? The traffic doesn't mean that you're getting conversions, right? And when I generally look at, they probably must have hired the agency, and that agency probably will do some backlinks, and then the traffic is coming from irrelevant backlinks, and right, and then they probably have written a wrong blog which has a huge volume. So because of that, traffic is coming. The blog is not even, ICP is not even reading that blog, right? So these are like very simple common mistakes that anybody can avoid. So for that, like that, for you,
Yeah.
what are the mistakes that generally people do, which is very easy to think about, handle, and then how do you think they should avoid that?
So we've talking a lot about research. So research is one wherein we start building from hunch.
Hmm.
Um, it's great to have an idea and start building on it, but it's important to validate the market. So the first thing that I tell anybody is before you go to the market, actually go to the market, which is talk to customers. You need to do things that don't scale, right? So you start gathering hypotheses and building a thesis on why you want to build what you want to build, right? Um, in a sea of so many similar product factories existing today, feature factories, you would want to bring some distinctness, right? So for you to get that right, and that ties into your messaging and positioning also, you need to talk to customers, which is interview the prospects and people who are using competing products. That is the first thing which a lot of people skip, right? Um, so research, talking to customers, then communication. Let's say you have a product today. Most of the product owners or product teams fail to translate product features into value,
Hmm.
which is they are technical in nature and they try to communicate features, right? So if you're launching the Canva product that I was talking about, and they would try to communicate that we have launched automations, right? But the whole idea of telling automations is that earlier you were creating 10 graphics and spending 10 hours separately. Now you can create one graphic and it will double off for those 10 graphics. So you save 9 hours, right?
Hmm.
Now, how do you communicate that? Essentially, what tonality do you use is something that needs to be done in their language, in the language of the user and the customer, right?
Hmm.
So first thing is communication of benefit. Second thing is the tonality that you use, which is not what you believe, but how they speak. So you have to get two things right, translating the feature into benefit and value, and then tonality, right? Now, the third part, once you get the product feature and its value proposition communication right, how do you do it often and you use different mediums to do that? We all know attention, it's difficult to grab attention today. Short form works best, right? You need to be everywhere, every channel is important. So, how do you create one asset? How do you plan in advance that this asset is supposed to be creative? This creative is supposed to be created, and how do I get maximum content mileage through it, right? Which is how do I make sure that this goes on five different mediums, okay? And while it is going to five different mediums, it is personalized to talk to different personas that my product caters to. That is another communication problem that we witness and a content problem wherein we do not gain mileage with respect to personalization and frequency,
Hmm.
right? So these are some of the things that I've witnessed when people are building or launching their products, they do not account for. Positioning their product well is something that they believe is not important. They try to communicate all the features to all the audiences,
Hmm.
which is not what positioning is. In positioning, we say that if you're positioning your product for everybody, you're not positioning it for anybody, right?
Got it.
So a lot of people take that approach for we are all in one platform and we'll cater to every persona in the market. With respect to this creative design tool that I'm launching, it will be for graphic designers also. It would be for advanced product designers also. that is not how you launch, or that is not how you position yourself in the market.
Yeah. When you do that, then yeah, I think it's difficult to. So yeah, I think when you talk about it, I remember my experience. Right? When I moved to Chennai from Bangalore, I worked in a company. It was a services company doing pretty well. India, they had about 300, 400 people. US, they had about another 200 people. Revenue-wise, not a problem. But then when I joined as a marketing head, right, like I realized that they were everywhere. When I asked them like what industry you focus on, like they say every industry, what services, all the services, all IT services, from starting from Salesforce to Microsoft Dynamics to ERP, testing, application development, basically everything. When I started, I didn't even know which one to focus on because as a first marketer, should I hire for should I do campaigns for this particular industry or should I do campaign for that particular vertical or horizontal? Because there's all horizontal, all verticals, right? So eventually I realized that either the company is going to go down the drain at some point. I left the company in 4 or 5 months because it was not going anywhere because the founder like literally wanted to focus on cold calling and stuff like old school. Right? Now that company is now 20
Right,
people. Okay. Uh, in I think 5, 6, 7 years they become from 500 people, 600 people company to becoming 20 people company now, right? Because of the lack of focus. So like you said, the moment you start focusing on everything, right, then that's the moment that you can't focus on anything, right? It's and I've seen like literally that happened in my life, and I knew from that moment that this company is not going anywhere. So I could see that because the same problem, right? Like everything. Uh, that's why I think more and more that vertical ICP vertical SaaS, right? They're becoming a lot more popular these days, right? Do you see any examples of vertical SaaS becoming very niche and becoming popular? I work in a vertical SaaS company called Wimo. They only focus on BFSI. They solve a very single problem, like very pain point for like mobility based CRM, which is like for field sales team, they don't have to carry a laptop, so everything is on mobile. Um, very niche problem,
right.
very ICP focused, and still after 10 years in the business, they still focus on only couple of industries, which is BFSI, banking, financial services, and insurance. Thank you for watching, guys. Please subscribe to Rev Growth and stay tuned for the next part of the episode. Thanks again for watching.